welcome back to another Sims 4 video. I know that the idea of fairies is just not for everybody. Unfortunately, the Enchanted by Nature pack is very much so all about that. I've been seeing that pack in my literal dreams. That is because I worked on that pack. And you may say to yourself, but Sandra, you're biased. You've built 3 homes for that lot. And to that I say, yes, I am biased. You are totally right. But in today's video, I want to bring you some of my favorite features of this pack to hopefully give you a better understanding of whether this pack may be for you or not. I totally understand that some people might say, okay, but fairies, I don't play with occults. Why do I want natural living and homeless simulator? But there are still a lot of very interesting features that I think you guys might enjoy. Even though this is just a fairies pack in a lot of people's eyes, this is a big expansion pack that actually hides quite a few very interesting features that I'm hoping by explaining to you in this video, it might give you a better perception and understanding of what this pack is really about, and it will give you a better idea of whether you might need this pack or you might want this pack. Of course, if you are going to be considering purchasing this pack, don't forget that you can use my code SandraPika at checkout, which will directly support me as a creator. But one more thing before we go into this video, I am actually running a giveaway. So if you don't even want to spend your money on this pack, you can enter my giveaway and you might be able to win yourself this pack by telling me which one of my builds that I built for this pack is your favorite. The rules are pretty straightforward. Without further ado, let's get into some features that are personally my favorite that I think you might enjoy. Starting off pretty obvious, of course, we're going to touch off a little bit on the idea of fairies. Of course, fairies are the one long awaited cult that we have been very excited for. And even though you may not enjoy this, I do want to point out that the way that the fairies are done in this pack are with a lot of finesse. We've got a very large skill tree, and I know a lot of people were very anxious about what it's going to look like, but there are different paths you can take your fairies on. I think it gives you a big understanding that this is not just an afterthought. Fairies have a big life in front of them, and you can definitely take them in a lot of different directions. There are, of course, loads of different fairy features that your little fairy can do around the world. You can be a little manipulative fairy, of course. You can be a little evil fairy, but of course you can live your life in harmony and be a happy little fairy. That leads me to my next point, which is, of course, the customization of the wings. I did not expect this to be this in depth. And of course, the idea of painting on your fairy wings is exactly what we needed, and I'm very happy about that. But I didn't think they were going to give us that many presets of different shapes of the wings. There's little tiny little fairy wings. Then there's ones that look like your fairy was in a literal battle 2 minutes ago, which I think is very cool because it adds that idea of storyline, and you can almost build yourself up almost from like a rags to riches, from like a little sad fairy that's sleeping outside to a beautiful fancy fairy living in a castle. Speaking of living in a castle, you can also live in a tiny little fairy house. Well, no, you can't live in it, but this tiny little home for some reason is so funny. It's called Arbor Abode Fairy Home, and this actually gives your fairy sim a couple of different needs such as fun, energy, hygiene, stress relief, discomfort. So technically your sim, your little fairy sim, could just live in this house. I mean, I think that is actually hilarious because it actually is functional off the grid. One last thing when it comes to fairies that's my favorite is the little fairy dust that they project, or they just like brush off of their shoulders. With that, you can actually do a lot of different things, such as enchanting gnomes to make them come alive, or enchanting your plants. Enough about fairies. When we come to enchanting plants, I really want to talk about this next point, which are the new plants. So there are 3 new actual growable plants that came with this pack. Those 3 plants are the Aura Blossom Seed, which is also helpful in enchanting and manipulating your other plants in your garden. So gardening already is on a totally different level. We've got the Lightning Root Seed, which this is probably my favorite one, purely because this, when it grows, it literally produces you electricity, and you can connect it to the grid and actually save your money on your power bills. The last one then is called the Moody Shrub Seed, which also has an effect on emotions. With this plant fully grown, you can bottle up emotions. This is like harvesting emotions, and I think that is so funny because a lot of these fairy aspects are very emotional based. As I mentioned, you can use fairy dust to enchant your plants to make them grow better. You won't need to water them or weed them, but with that comes a little bit of a downfall because there's these like little pixies that you've got to shoo away. This brings me on to the potted plants, which I think this may be one of my favorite things. It gives me that idea of like the Sims 1 waterable plants, the plants that are dying, the ones that are wilting away inside your home. And this is very close to home because half of my indoor houseplants are wilting away. So the idea that now we've got houseplants that almost interact with you, with your surroundings, and you've got to look after them, I think that's pretty cool. So the way that they work is, of course, you've got to get yourself the tabletop plant pots, in which you've got a selection, an array of specific plants that will obviously fit them. So I guess similarly enough to the vertical planter pots, I guess you can't plant everything in these tabletop planter pots. You've got to specifically choose which seed it will be, but you can, of course, just purchase yourself the house plants, which I think they are the cutest things in the world. So just say, for instance, we've got the Boston Fern, we've got Monstera, we've got a Puffos succulent, we've got an, okay, me pronouncing these words is just not that great, but these are pretty amazing. But as I said, you could also plant yourself literal like vegetables and fruits, obviously depending on which one you can, but you can have just like fruits inside your house, like little strawberries. I mean, I think that is absolutely amazing. So this little feature is amazing, and it works really hand in hand with the new plant lover trait. It does allow your sim to express their love for plants. I mean, that is a totally realistic trait that I mean a lot of people have. Would I say I have that trait? I think so, but I also kill my plants, so I don't know how really that goes hand in hand. But this trait also gives your sim a lot of really interesting and funny interactions. Enough about plants. Let's talk about, I guess, plant sims. They got a regular update recently where they are now able to be spotted around in his green in general, and they just kind of like walk around. They plant themselves around the place. Their whole existence is slightly changed now. But I want to talk about the other two not plant sims, supposedly. So we've got Mother Nature and Sprucey Boy. Sorry, Spruce Almighty is his actual name. These two supposedly were in some sort of a toxic relationship where, you know, they just got something going on and now they're not together and they kind of don't like each other. I'm not really sure, but I would suggest check out Plumbella's like a lore video and all of that. I think it's pretty funny. Spruce Boy specifically, he does help you with your gardening. You can actually get yourself that little trunk through doing fables around town. You can then plant him on your lot and summon him whenever you need planting help, and I do think that is very handy. It's similar to Patchy, if you've ever seen Patchy before, but you don't have to like beg Patchy to help you. Sprucey Boy is ready to come out and help you whenever he can. Mother Nature, of course, is another NPC that comes out whenever you want to become a fairy. I believe you can woohoo both of them. You can invite Sprucey Boy to live in your household as well, but Mother Nature does poof herself out of the way really quickly, which is really sad, as I would like to kind of maybe romance them a little bit or just like have them around a little bit more. But of course, Mother Nature, she's the creator of all existence and in is green, so I guess she can't really be around too much, but at least we've got Sprucey Boy to help us around, giving us a helping hand in the garden. Speaking of helping hands, now you can get your hands dirty by foraging. And I mean, every single point I'm getting to in this video, I may be very excited. You guys might be like, boo-hoo, who cares? I do. I think foraging in this game is a thing that should have been added like years ago. The fact that your sim can do a lot of things already, and now they can just like get their little hands dirty digging out a random collectibles, fruits, apothecary ingredients, plants. You could literally just find things from the ground. This is going to be a rags to riches lover's dream, as you literally don't need to do anything anymore. And I said this while I mentioned that my starter home that I built for this house, when you load into that with your 20k, you are left with a humble amount of 20 simoleons left, which is not a lot, but you can literally click on the ground now to say forage for ingredients or just forage here, and you will find yourself random items that you can instantly start selling, which I think is amazing. I will get to other things that you can easily access to sell later on in the video, but foraging in general, I think is just such an amazing feature in this game that will help you. I do enjoy that idea of a challenge. So the idea of just being able to forage random things, I think is amazing. And you could probably get rich just foraging, which is amazing. This works hand in hand also with the natural living skill, as this is one of the new skills that comes with this pack, which is also an amazing feature that a lot of people may find a little redundant, but this feature is again a helping hand to a rags to riches series where you can now sleep on the ground, bathe in open waters, or just summon a little privy bush and pee wherever you want, which is so realistic. And I totally think that also should have been a thing added into the game. As you go higher with the natural living skill, things happen. I don't want to spoil everything for you, but a lot of really cool things happen. So you get a better chance of gathering things, or you know, you get a little bit more comfortable as you're going on. At some point you can even start eating raw frogs apparently, which is a bit weird, but you can eat raw frogs in this game. You can now also eat eat fish. At the same time, it's kind of disgusting, and who the heck does that? But I think it's really funny, and so like Sims like to be able to just grab a fish and eat it raw. But the natural living skill will also help you slightly with your foraging. So altogether, I think that comes into a very nice little cohesive part of the game that, you know, even though we started off this video talking about fairy, we've also got some very realistic down to earth things. I mean, now that I think about it, did they really need to add like a toilet and a shower in this pack? Could they have just removed like the toilet, the shower, and the sink? Used those object slots for other objects? Because you can essentially wash yourself as a fairy inside that little fairy house, and then as a regular sim living off of the land, you can wash yourself in an body of open water, or else just summon a privy bush. So did we really need just say like a toilet and a shower? Could we have just gotten without that and made space for other items and build and buy in the catalog? But again, I know with this video you might be like, Sandra, but I still don't care about that. What else is there? Well, let's move on to your next point, which I guess let's get down to more materialistic, more inside the house things. So if you're not all about the magical fairy things, that's okay. If you're not all about the living off the land homeless simulator, that's okay. Well, let's get into the inside of the house. There are a couple of very interesting aspects that your sim can just do in a regular home. So this is why I'm so extremely proud of my little starter home. Okay, it looks hilarious right now. I'm so extremely proud that I built a starter home in this more normal side of Innisgreen. So this is the coast of Admore. If you just don't care about any of the things I just mentioned, you could also just live a regular life. So some of the new cool things that came with this pack is also nature press. And I want to talk about this straight away because with this tiny little object, you now can create yourself more artwork. This is a thing I think is a necessity because we do not have much artwork that came with this pack. But on the other hand, this little book creates you a multitude of different art pieces. When you click on this little book, you can decorate enchanted items with florals. So you can make cute little candles and cute little paintings with cute little floral designs depending on how many flowers you've got in your inventory. Also, this requires berry jam. Oh my god, the price of that? I wonder, can you get rich making candles now? Because we all know that candle making in The Sims is not very fruitful, but this may be. You can then also decorate some items with just regular objects, not necessarily florals. So for instance, you could do grape or any vegetable in this case, and you can make yourself a floral candle with a vegetable. But these things do really create you an array of some beautiful paintings that I think we just require in this pack. We need more decorative pieces, but we do got them. If you don't want to get yourself that nature press thing and go through a whole ordeal of that, you can just put in the debug cheat and that will essentially bring you out all of these paintings, and you can actually scale them up and down and make like cute little arrays or cute little collages on your wall. So it doesn't have to be just one size fits all. You can scale them down and manipulate them slightly. This though just has a very special place on my heart because I went to art college and printmaking was actually my major that I graduated in. So this reminded me of like that idea of like printmaking, creating like embossed cute little floral designs, you know, and printing on just say like a candle for instance, but also all those like little paintings remind me of like, is that like an etching maybe? Is that like a screen print? I don't know. I think there's something so adorable about that. So you can literally just live in a regular home like that and your sim could just be, you know, maybe like they don't really want to live like a fairy, but they just want something cute and fairy-like, so they get themselves a little enchanted press, and I think that's very cute. With this Enchanted by Nature pack, you can actually get yourself a new job, which I mean is still of course going to have natural qualities as this is a naturopath. How do I pronounce this? I do not know. But this is very similar to the doctor career if you've got get to work, as Sims with this job will be able to see clients from their home lot as well as standard go to work or work from home options. This I think is absolutely amazing. And I know I'm like going on about a job. Woohoo, Sandra, no one cares about jobs. But this isn't just a regular rabbit hole job that you just send your sim off, you know. This isn't also even just a work from home thing where you get a couple of little tasks in the day. You can actually bring clients into your home and cure them and work almost as if you've got your little apothecary doctor's office inside your house. Imagine building a whole house and then just like a cute little business on the side. Anything to do with businesses and making money, absolutely spot on for me. So I think this does work hand in hand with the businesses and hobbies pack, as you can literally create yourself your own business, even though obviously you are still working, you still have an employment in The Sims, but you're inviting people into your home so you can almost like work from home, curing people with your natural abilities remedies. This reminds me of like a holistic journey, or like, you know, Chinese medicine. It really is very interesting. And imagine then merging this also with like spa day and maybe doing some like holistic massages and things. I don't know what I'm saying at this point, but imagine opening like a little clinic, doing little massages as well on the side. I think that's very cool. A naturopath draws on deep wells of knowledge, from crafting elixirs to foraging, to help other Sims feel their best. If you're drawn to healing and balance, this career is for you. Unlock 3 career outfits, new socials such as educate about balance, additional work interactions including the ability to see ailing Sims at the home lot, raids, and decor objects such as Everdew Wisdom Frame Pack. That is perfect for any home office. I think that this in general is a very cool way of working, because I don't like to just send my sim off to work, off they go, I don't see them for the whole day, and then I sit there like an idiot just staring at my screen while nothing's happening. So I like the idea of having interactive careers, even though I spend so long just there talking about how you can just do a rags to riches and never go to work because you can just forage for money. But you can still do that and at the same time have your sim have a career with their vacation days and regular 9-to-5 work lifestyle, but you can do it in a totally different way where you can see clients at your own house and still get paid for it and still do fun things in the game without seeing a rabbit hole. Speaking of apothecary, that is a whole entire thing. Would I say that is my absolute favorite thing? It's not the thing I was most excited about, but you can become sick. You can get ailments in this game where you've got to cure them. So again, there's like ups and downs every 2 minutes in this game, which I think is really cool because nothing is normal in life. You get hurdles, you get sick. Depending on how you live your life, your body will speak to you and it will make you feel certain ways. So the apothecary is a very interesting aspect of this game, as so you can live your life in a balanced state, you can live it in an imbalanced or else a very imbalanced state. If your needs go down poor, or if you're a bad person, I don't know, you will obviously then feel imbalanced and you're more than likely to catch ailments and feel sick and then need to seek medical attention from a holistic guru. I don't like things to be too simple and easy peasy lemon squeezy. Bob's your uncle, you're just playing The Sims every day the same. This does give you the idea of things being different every day because you've also got the luck aspect, which sometimes you may wake up feeling unlucky, and I get that all the time. I'm like, God, today feels like a horrible day. But some days you may feel like you're walking on clouds and everything is amazing. And this also impacts a lot of things in the game, such as, you know, collectibles, fishing, how your sim will feel for the day, because all of that really combines into that natural aspect of how we actually live our life in real life. So that is such a realistic aspect to bring into the game. But also I feel because this pack is inspired by Ireland, I feel like the luck of the Irish is always there and it is never leaving. They had to just mention that little like luck. I'm like waiting to find like a pot of gold somewhere with like a leprechaun walking in the background. But anyway, since this pack is primarily inspired obviously by like mystical vibes, a lot of the build and buy objects, if you're not into that, will not be your cup of tea. But there are a couple of very cute objects that I want to mention that are my absolute favorite that I will see in my dreams for the rest of my life, such as the very Avery acorn nightlight. This little acorn dude comes in an array of different swatches, some of them being slightly more grumpy, some of them being slightly more happier. I mean, I think this is amazing. I don't know why I love this so much. It is obviously not a necessity at all in this pack, but I mean, if it wasn't there, I'd be very sad, and now I'm very happy that it is there. I did somewhat of like a build and buy overview where we build a house using just these items. So if you'd like to check that out, I will leave it linked for you down below. I have seen James Turner's build and buy overview as well, and that man is very clever. He brought to light a couple of interesting aspects and facts about these objects. I personally think, now that I know all about the natural living skill, scrap that toilet, get rid of it. We have a privy bush now. Get rid of that and get rid of the jet bathtub. Add more objects in there, because I mean, I can just wash myself in the river. Like, I even in my house have a little lake, so we don't need the shower anymore. But some of these objects, I think they just hold a very special place in my heart and are quite adorable, such as this little crib. I never play with generational gameplay, but looking at some of these swatches, the way that they created this adorable little crib actually just makes me very happy. Like, look at those little acorns. I must say, some of these items are very, very cute, and they nailed some of the colors quite well. They've also given us, just say, a regular swatch of this regular chair as well. So you can implement that into your regular non-fairy home. So a couple of these items can be used in a regular scenario. Even this crib, for instance, you probably could use that in a regular child's home, not a fairy home. Of course, as I mentioned, the potted plants are a very big feature of the build and buy as well. Those are just absolutely amazing. And I think those are probably my favorite build and buy objects, having those like potted plants now in your home. But one more thing from the build and buy catalog that I absolutely love, and that I always get very confused which category they put them into, but these little garlands, these little vignette wall floral displays, oh my god, those are my absolute favorite things, because we've got some already in the cottage living pack, and I just overgrow my house always with that like natural foliage, and now we've got it with that like lavender with wisteria vibe. I think that is amazing, and you will find me using that all the time. So, you know, even if you don't find that appealing to have fairies in your home, I still think that these little bushes will work really nicely, not just as like curtains, because that also does look like a little curtain in your house, but these look really cool and just overgrowing your house. It could just be a regular cottage, it could be a regular home that just has a little bit of an infestation of wisteria on the side of it. I think that these little items are very, very nice, and I'm glad that we've got those added into the game. Of course, a new feature that was updated in the game was the plants on roofs. So with this pack, we also have got the wild uncanny cane plant on roof, which does get quite distorted when I put it on the side of the house. And we've also got the wild painted, what is this called? Plum bouquet. Okay, so we've also got that little dude. Those can also be placed on the ground as like a regular shrubberino. Weirdly enough, those do not appear in the shrubs, flowers, or trees category, which is very interesting. They only appear in the roof sculpture. So if you are thinking, oh, no new shrubberies came with this pack, you are wrong. They actually did, but I just think that they are categorized slightly wrong. But these are very cute, and I can see myself using this bush quite often. I think this is amazing. As I said, a lot of these objects are very mystical vibes, so if you're not looking for that kind of stuff, I totally get it. But I do think that overall they did a very amazing job with providing us with an array of very interesting objects, such as this thing. When am I going to use this ever? I do not know, but we've got it, so I guess we've got it now. So since we're here in the world, let's maybe just talk a tiny little bit about the world and other hidden features of it. Of course, I just mentioned that the new job isn't a rabbit hole, but we do have a couple of other rabbit holes that came with this pack, which I know rabbit holes are a touchy subject and everyone hates them, but it still adds a little bit of realism, as now we've got a rabbit hole bookshop situated in Spruce Dairy Grove, where you or Sim can actually enter and sell and purchase books. You can sell your used books, but also you can purchase books, which, I mean, I know it's a rabbit hole, and yeah, boo-hoo, sad story, we can't go in there, but it is just so much more realistic to click on a building, travel to the lot, and purchase yourself a book than just click on a bookshelf to purchase books. I mean, I get it on the computer, yeah, because they get delivered to your house, but who the heck in real life clicks on a bookshelf to purchase a book? So I like the idea of this small little rabbit hole allowing my sim now to travel to purchase a book. And I know if my sim just disappears and we don't know what they're doing inside that little house, but still, it makes more sense. Another little rabbit hole that we've got is the new little plant shop, where you can purchase yourself some of the new plants as well that came with this pack, as well as some of the tabletop planter pots and other cute little seeds. Again, I think that does make sense. I like the idea of like running errands and having to travel to that little shop, because again, I know we can do all of that in a computer, but the idea of them implementing those little rabbit holes and me having to go to Spruce Dairy Grove, I think it just adds a little bit of freshness, because it just gets your sim out of the house. Sometimes my sim is like 24 hours without talking to anyone, 24 hours without leaving the house. Now with these rabbit holes, I guess it just gets your sim out of the house, and I feel like I need that sometimes in real life. So I like that feature. We've also got a new feature of selling fish at the dock, and this just reminds me of Stardew Valley, but you can now sit there at the pier fishing for hours, gathering a load of fish, and then being like, right, well, I didn't catch what I wanted, so what do I do with all these foul fish in my inventory? Well, turn around, and right behind you, you've got a beautiful little hut where you can just go in there and sell all of your fish. And I guess I know that we can just sell things from your inventory. I get it. It's again another rabbit hole. It just adds that realism of like, okay, well, let me go and sell my fish like I normally would. I would sell them to a fisherman, fisher dude. So it just adds storyline, and it just adds imagination. And with a little bit of imagination, I think we can really make this a very cute little experience. I also really love the one last little rabbit hole that we've got, which is a little grocery shop. And I think that's very cute because if we're talking about this specific world, the coast of Admore, being inspired by areas such as Kinsale, for instance, when you go to Ireland, you see a lot of people just popping down to the shops to get a bit of goss from people. Oh, I want to see Mary down in the shop. I want to see what she heard about John from down the road. So the idea of having those little rabbit holes, yeah, is boring, but also it just makes your sim go out there and talk to Belagoth. Belagoth, what did Mortimer do last night? I think that whole lore, the idea of like traveling to a specific place to meet some people, grocery shop, but actually just going down there for the gossip, I think that's hilarious. And you can again use your imagination of that. But I think those little rabbit holes, the idea of a fisherman's shop and a grocery shop in the coast of Admore, I think they did a really good job capturing that kind of Irishness of these cute little picturesque areas, because people can be very nosy around here. So I think it's really funny that we've got that. We've also got 2 new stalls that are actually operated by 2 Sims that are not NPCs, they're actual playable characters. So we've got Apothecary Todd, of course, guarding the apothecary table where you can buy elixirs. They change every day, but you can buy some apothecary ingredients as well as elixirs. You can also talk to him about apothecary, and he's got an apothecary table right next to him if your sim just isn't about that or they can't afford the apothecary, but they are just fallen sick. You can just use the apothecary table next to Todd. And the second little hut, this little hut right here, guarded by Glen Gnome, which is actually a resident of a house down there built by another one of the creators. I like the idea of actual playable characters having these like little daytime jobs. He's a gnome enthusiast also. I think that is absolutely adorable. So in his little stand, you can shop for gnomes, which honestly are very expensive. Dare I say, ouchie, ouchie. They're like 200 some. Okay, this one's only 51 apparently. Are you on sale or what's the story? But you can also craft all of these gnomes now at the crafting bench. Like, I think that's very cool how you can craft yourself gnomes, because I know, as I mentioned at the start of this video, you can enchant them and bring them to life, and that's a whole other ordeal for a whole other video. As I've mentioned, I of course built 3 different lots for the Enchanted by Nature pack. This is why this pack is so close to my heart. I've built a starter home, which we've just resided in the coast of Admore. I've also built the Ladipo family home, which houses the parents of Iris, the little runaway fairy. These Sims also appeared in the trailer of The Sims 4, which I mean, I'm still pinching myself of that. And I've also built the Gringles bar, which now watching all these YouTubers visiting my bar.
This is a really cool lot. Little stage, little seating area out here. Actually, what does this look like from afar? Oh, that's sweet.
Hey, welcome to Gringles. Can I get you anything to drink? Would it be nice? First of all, this build is amazing. Doesn't this look awesome? Like this, this is so cool.
I have videos of how I built those, which I will link for you down below if you would like to see a little bit of behind the scenes of how we create homes for an official Sims pack. Definitely go check those out. And of course, if you would like to win yourself a copy of the Enchanted by Nature pack, let me know down in the comments or under any of those building videos what your favorite home that I built is. I know it's very self-centered, but I just want to know. I think it's really funny and it's an easy way to win a pack. Can't complain. Well, with all of that aside, these were some of my favorite features in this new expansion pack. And I mean, I think that is a lot. There's also quite a lot that I have not mentioned, which I'm sure other creators would have already mentioned for you. Whether this changed your mind, I do not know. I can't tell. This is a very specific niche of interest that I think only a specific amount of people will enjoy. But as I've shown you there is an array of random different things that you can do. You can also just explore the world as a regular townie. I mean, if you go into my starter home, you can just live a regular townie life in the Irish coast of Admore. I mean, I know I said at the start of this video that I'm 100% biased because I have worked on this pack, so that is without a doubt very truthful, and I totally get it. If you guys think, Nago, hey, I can't listen to you because you're biased, absolutely. Still, I think for an expansion pack, it is worth it purely because they did work on creating a lot of different aspects of the game that don't necessarily just have to be having the fairy occult added into your game. I would like to hear what your favorite feature of this game is. Please let me know down in the comments. Are you going to be buying this pack? Are you not going to be buying this pack? I want to hear it all. I want to hear it all in the comments below. Of course, if you are looking to purchase this pack, don't forget that you can use my creator code. This will directly support me as a creator. I've also done a very fun interview with a Polish simmer recently, so that is already out as well. I will link that for you down below. But anyways, guys, that is everything from me. I could blabber on about this for ages. Don't forget to enter my giveaway to get yourself this pack for totally free. Check out some of the videos I linked for you down below. And yeah, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I shall see you in the next video. Bye!